And what happens if Stone goes down? And what does that mean for the Vegas Golden Knights? And that's probably been on the back of every Vegas Golden Knight fan's mind since the season started, is how Stone can do. And he's he looked great. Then he went down. Then there was all the rumors that started. Now it's come out, and JP, you know this better than I, but just explain for the listeners what the situation with Stone and what it really means for you guys as the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, and we absolutely, Mike and Marty, the last time we did the show together, we absolutely talked about this. The worry, the concern over Mark Stone and how back injuries have a way of coming back. And that is exactly what happened. And while the team is not being super public about it, I did read an article by a Vegas insider. Sinbin.Vegas is kind of one of our local websites that covers the team full time. And they interviewed a doctor about the specific operation that Stone had. And Mark Stone went to Denver, Colorado, and he was operated on by the same doctor that operated on Jack Eichel. So we know they sort of tried to say that it was a separate injury, like on ESPN Plus on a national broadcast. They said it's a different injury than last time. However, in this article that I read, the doctor they interviewed about this, it wasn't the doctor that did the operation, but it was a doctor that knows these kinds of injuries, said, well, when they say it was a different injury, it was very likely a different vertebrae and likely related to the problem with the first one. One can cause the next. That's highly likely what we're looking at. And Stone is most definitely out for the season. They're like, at least according to this doctor, it's at minimum 3 months. And because it's his second surgery in 9 months, they're not going to want to rush him back. What's frightening about it, and we've all been saying this already, and the doctor in this particular article confirmed this. Now it's the kind of thing where Stone needs to seriously consider whether he wants to do this again and risk possibly a third back. Like, you get to a point where you have to start considering, okay, I have the rest of my life to live. How's this going to affect my quality of life? Like, Stone really is at that crossroads now, probably, where he's going to have to start considering, is this a career-ending thing? Do I need to retire? It's terrible news for the team, for Stone. Like, he's the captain of the team. He's a fan favorite. He contributes to the team massively offensively. So it's terrible news all around. At the end of the day, my hope is that Stone himself is fine. It's a quality of life thing. You hope he doesn't have to live the rest of his life with pain and stuff, aside from the hockey part of it. But that's kind of the latest, and that's not coming directly from the team, but that's information that's pieced together, based on the operation he had. And but we were right with our predictions. Yeah, it's not getting better, that's for sure. And Mike and Marty, we definitely discussed that concern, and we were totally spot on with that.
Kind of to piggyback a little bit on what JP is saying. Listen, first and foremost, I'll say I hope that this doesn't do anything to his quality of life. Like, obviously, there's going to be some aches and pains here in the later stages of life. That's like most of us. But with the back, I think it's, that'll come to the forefront a little bit for him later on in life. And I hope the best for him in his personal life. When you're looking at it from kind of a team standpoint, maybe a player standpoint, to me, the first and foremost is, if it's 3 months before he comes back, then I'm not letting him get on the ice until 4 months. Like, my point is that I'm taking it super cautious with this guy at this point. For the obvious reasons. But now from the business standpoint, this guy's taking up 11.5% of your cap. This is a major, major player, along with Eichel and Alex Pietrangelo, who are taking up massive, massive percentages of your salary cap. If I'm the Las Vegas Golden Knights, Mark, you need 6 months, my friend, then take 6 months. Like, I need this to be as ridiculously healthy as it possibly can be after having 2 back surgeries in 9 months. And that goes first and foremost because of the player. I want the player to be healthy, because as a team, I will be able to get the most out of him. And the other reason why I want to be super cautious about this is because we all know Mark Stone as a player. This guy is heart and soul, like, wears his heart on his sleeve, do you not think that he's going to want to try and make a comeback for any kind of playoff? Like,
100%.
if what JP is saying is right, and we're looking at about a 3 month, let's say it's this 3 month thing. You can, I don't know about you guys, but I totally see Mark Stone knocking on the GM's door saying, when can I play?
Yeah.
And if I'm the GM, I'm like, what's that? 3 months? Sorry, add another 3. Like, there's no way. He's got another 4 years on his contract after this year.
Yep. Wow.
After this year. Like, I want as much as I can get out of Mark. And that's even if we can even get there. Like JP's saying, I mean, it's 9 months. Think about that. 9 months in your life, and you've gotten 2 back surgeries. I can tell you right now, you ain't playing hopscotch. Like, they have to be super, super careful with this. I mean, you know, again, we talked about it before. It's always been a something in the back of, I'm sure, Golden Knights fans for sure. And I guess the thing that, you know, probably from a fantasy standpoint, fantasy hockey standpoint, and real life, obviously, this guy scores. Like, this guy's been massively productive in his NHL career, let alone his career just with the Golden Knights. I saw a stat the other day, and I think he's got something like 200 points or something, and I want to say 230 or 40 games or whatever it is for the Knights. Something to that extent. It's fairly productive. And I want that production to continue as much as it can. But as we know, the last time this guy had any kind of a full season was the year he got traded to the Knights. I think he played 78 games that year where he got traded from Ottawa to Vegas, and he hasn't played anything close, 63, 68 games type of deal. So you're missing a chunk. You're going into a year knowing you're missing a chunk from Mark Stone every year. But with what you've got invested in him, you'll take whatever you can get. But while saying that, I need to make sure, again, if it's 4 months, keep the guy out 6. Like, you need to make sure it is as healed as it possibly can be. And even then, we know that there's going to be games off, so on and so forth.
This is not a surprise. The only thing I would be surprised with is if Cassidy wasn't ready for this. That'd be the only thing that I would think of that would catch Vegas off guard with this whole injury. I think they're well aware that with Stone, you'll get 50, and if you're lucky, 60 games out of him, and be happy with it. Let's make the best of those games. Let's get as far as we can with those games with him in the lineup. But at some point, he's going to drop. I would venture a guess that maybe it's better to keep him out at the beginning of the season, just so you can go into the playoffs with a healthier Stone. Because whether it's 4 months, 6 months, it doesn't matter. He can full clean bill of health. It doesn't matter. It's a back injury. And like, you're right, you guys, when we were on this show, we talked about what is the future with Mark Stone. And I believe I said it then. It's injury riddled. This is who he is. And this is not an insult to him. It's bad luck. Nathan Horton was sort of in the similar situation, but for him, I believe it was concussions. Peter Forsberg, same thing. Man, we got robbed of some really great players because of injuries. It happens. It's the game. It's frustrating, but it's the game. It's a rough one. But for Stone, I didn't realize there was 4 years left. Yeah, maybe go into next season with a different game plan as to how. I know nobody likes this word. Nobody wants to hear this in hockey, but load management may be important for somebody like Mark Stone. Maybe it makes sense there.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say something similar. I think you got to ask now when and if Mark Stone comes back, is he a top 6 center that carries those kind of minutes? Or not center, excuse me, winger. Is he a top 6 winger that carries those kind of minutes? Like like you said, in order to manage his minutes, maybe he's a third line guy. That may just be where we're at, not because of his capabilities, but because of how much his body can actually stand, right? It's a grind. An 82 game season is a grind. And 2 surgeries, it's a huge question mark on Mark Stone right now. If we even see him back, it's terribly sad news for the team,